Just like to offer a big shout out to Touchdown Digital, the sponsor of this week's video. Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Glenn Selman and you're watching Sniper Photography. It's so good to have you here today. Look, a couple of weeks ago I posted a video on macro photography, how I do it, the gear I use and the workflow. And I just want to reiterate on that again with minimal equipment. Now, I know lots of people out there that want to get into macro photography, but they're really not quite sure, and they don't want to spend lots and lots of money on a dedicated one-to-one macro lens, which they sell for anywhere from, say, $700 up to $3,000. So if you don't want to spend that much money on a macro lens, and you really haven't got a lens that gets you quite close enough, not necessarily to be fully blown macro, but to be closer than what your normal lens gets you, well then there's a very simple solution, and it is very cost effective, and really they don't cost you much money at all. And what they are extension tubes. Here, see if you can see that. Okay, they come in sets of 3. This one I paid, I think, $38 or $40 on Amazon, and just for a bit of fun actually, to see how good they were. And especially when I'm traveling and I don't want to carry this fully blown macro lens, I'll take these because they're very light. Now with these, as I said, you get them in packs of 3. This one is 13mm, 21mm and 31mm. That is the distance, okay? When you put these behind your lens, it pushes your lens further away from the sensor, which increases your magnification. Now there's fors and against for these things, but for someone that wants to do a bit of macro photography and you don't want to go out and spend a lot of money because you're really not quite sure whether macro is going to suit you or you're going to like it, well then this is a great option. Seriously, these things are really good. They come with a body cap like that and a top on there. Now what happens with these is that to undo these, you've got these clips. See those clips? So all you do is you just push that clip in, that's it. Now as you can see, they're hollow. See they're hollow? There's no glass, right? The ones I brought have contact points. You can see them in there, I don't know if you can see them. That's so my auto-focusing and camera settings can be seen through the camera. You can get others that don't have contact points at all. I just brought these because I thought, well, these look good and the price was right. Whether it was contactable or not with that and that, it doesn't really matter, because with macro photography you don't want to be auto-focusing anyway, you want to be manual focusing. So how you use it, how do you use these things? Well, what I like to do, I like to start off with the smallest one first, which is, for this case, is the 13mm. And that's it there. As you said, they're hollow. So all you have to do is this. First off, the camera, just a normal digital SLR. Lens choice with using extension tubes, you really want a fixed focal length lens, but no more than, say, 35. This is a 50mm macro lens. Now you can either use 50mm fixed focal length lens. It's not a macro lens, sorry, it's not a macro lens, it's just a normal Nifty 50. Great lens to use anyway. I mean, every photographer should have a 50mm 1.8. They cost you less than $250. They're very cheap, but they work really well with extension tubes. So what I'm using here is a 50mm fixed focal length lens. I don't like to use anything less when I'm using extension tubes, because anything really wider you start to get vignetting around the corners and a bit of darkness. Because keeping in mind, the more of these you add, right, the darker your image is going to get. So there's a little bit of toing and froing with them. But as I said, if you've got a 50mm or maybe a 35mm fixed focal length lens and you want to get into macro photography, well then look at these extension tubes. So what I like to do is take this off first, take the lens off first, and then I will put the extension tube, which is the smallest one, the 13, just line it up. They've got the points. As you can see, it's on right there. Then all I do is then just attach the lens and away we go. Now what I'll do at the end of this video, I'm going to put images up to show you what I've achieved by using this system alone. Now, as I said, this is 50mm fixed focal length with a 13mm extension tube. That'll get me reasonably close. But if I want to go closer, right, when I get closer, I just undo the lens and put the 21 on. So there we have 21 and 13, right? So you got 34mm extension tube. So what that does, that pushes your lens from here out to here. So I'll put that on. As you can see, the length is growing, okay? In actual fact, this is the combination I like to use. So most of the photos you'll see will be with the 21mm extension and the 30mm extension. And I'll show you the photos that I've achieved by using this particular setup. That gets me really close. Not quite macro, but you're a smidgen off being macro with this setup. Now, if you want to get really, really crazy or go crazy, you can put just this one on, which I will show you photos with just using this, and this is the 31mm. So it comes in, what have we got here? We've got 3, so it's 30, 34. This is a 31, so it's just a bit not as close, but I like using this combination. You can get these in various millimeters too. Just have a look on, you get them on Amazon. They're pretty cheap, and they work, these things. So as you can see, got a bit more length there. So, and that balances really well. I can still see all my settings, and because of the contact points in them. Now, if you want to go even more crazier with this, there's another thing which I recommend to everybody who is thinking about starting macro photography and don't have any extension tubes, is this thing. This is the Raynox 250. Now what this does, it's basically a magnifying glass, okay? So basically what that does, this clips on all different filter sizes. It'll clip on nicely to the 50mm lens here. As you can see now, I have got it on. Okay. Then all I do is grab the actual Raynox itself. These things cost around about $170 through Amazon. I had to get this one through Amazon from Japan. That's it there. As you can see, it's pretty darn strong. And all you do is just screw it in like so. And I'll take photos, I'll show you photos I've taken with this setup. Just screws in like so. Make sure it's tight, and there it is. So that's on there now. That will give me more than 1:1 magnification. Now this is where you start to get into really macro type of images where you have to work out with your focusing. And what I find with this setup, I'll go through it again, a 50mm Nifty 50, 1.8, 2 extension tubes, 21 and 13, and the Raynox 250. When you focus with this, forget autofocus, forget about that. So this lens does have autofocus on it. I switch it to manual focus, so I can manual focus, right, like so. And basically, when you're focusing, you have to go in and out like this. In until you get your focusing, and then out. What I like to do is focus on that point there, extend the focus ring, and then move in and out until I get focus. You won't get everything in focus unless you focus stack, but that's another video for another day. But for people starting out with macro photography, this is an absolute basically no-brainer, to be quite honest. So I'll go through it. We've got the extension tubes, buy them in packs of 3, under $40 with contact points. If you've got a 50mm fixed focal length or maybe a 35, preferably not a zoom, that might be the only bugbear for you, but every photographer, quite frankly, should have a 50mm 1.8 Nifty 50 in their photography bag, in their camera bag. So that is not a must, but it will help you. The extension tubes, a 50mm 1.8 lens, and the Raynox 250. Okay, so if you're looking at a combination like this, you're probably looking at say 40, say 240, through under $380, you can get that. Where if you buy something like this, anywhere from say $700 up to $3,000, $3,000. So if you're just starting out with macro photography, this is, believe you me, an absolute great combination. Okay, so when you put the extension tubes on, you'll notice that I put it on the camera body first. I suggest you do that. Put the extension tube onto the camera body and then put your lens on that. So it's another good way of achieving macro or getting very, very close. But it's a good learning thing for you as well, because if you were to say, right, I've just seen the video from Glenn at Sniper Photography, I might go out and buy, 3 extension tubes, and I've already got the lens, or I might buy a second-hand 50mm, which there's lots of them there, and then go out and buy Raynox. If you start to really enjoy your macro photography and you want to make that your key genre, well then the equipment that you've just purchased, extension tubes, the Raynox, and say the 50mm lens, you can still use that. It's not as if you're not going to use it anymore. As I said, I use this when I go overseas. I don't take my 1:1 macro lens because they are quite heavy, and I prefer this when I'm traveling, especially out of the country, because I've got other lenses that'll do what that'll do with the extension tubes. You see, so if you do buy the gear that I've just shown you, excluding the macro lens, you can still use it. So it's not a waste of money, but you're not wasting money by going out and saying to yourself, well, I want to get into macro photography, I'm going to go spend $2,000 on macro lens, I'll get really good shots. I don't want you to do that because you mightn't like it. Macro photography is a challenge, and it's something that you really have to dedicate a lot of time to get it right. For me, and I've said this previously in other videos, that 90% of my photography is landscape photography. The other 10% is macro and wildlife, which I've got big lenses for. But it's nice to know that you can get into a genre of photography like macro without spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And you don't have to. You just buy the extension tubes. If you've got a 50mm lens, if you haven't, you can buy a good second-hand one on any of the marketplaces or Amazon for less than $200, brand new for under $200. And it's a great lens to have anyway, the 50mm 1.8. And then maybe a Raynox. A lot of macro photographers use Raynox. In actual fact, with the Raynox 250, I've actually used the Raynox on this and the 31mm extension tube, and I get nearly 2:1 magnification, and that is just an absolute challenge to try and photograph something so close. So, but look, I just thought I'd put that out there for people that are thinking of doing macro photography, especially after watching the video I did on macro photography, which I'll put up there somewhere, so you can take another look at it, combine these two videos, and hopefully what I've just shown you will set you on your way to getting involved with macro photography. And let's face it, when we go out to the landscape, we're looking like this. We're not looking down at the ground because there's another life down there, whether it's plants, insects, what have you. Could be rocks, bark, could be anything, really. frogs, lizards, anything that's small on the ground as we're walking to our landscape location, why not throw in a couple of extension tubes in your bag and maybe a fixed focal length lens like the 50mm. You'd be surprised, mix up your shots as well as your landscape photography. So another interesting subject here. Still cold here, still very cold. Got the fire on over there. It's, yeah, look, I'm looking forward to producing more videos, and for people that have recently subscribed, I really appreciate it. Your support means a lot to me, because anyone that does YouTube, both inside a studio like this and outside, it's a lot of work, but I enjoy doing this because this channel is about teaching people about photography, but also how to teach people how to have fun with their photography without spending lots and lots of money, because it is only getting more expensive. So please put your comments down below. If you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and the bell next door so you don't miss anything. And any future videos come up, you will be notified that I've posted another video. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and the bell next door if you're new to this channel. For the people that are always here and support me, I really, really appreciate it. There's a few people that support this channel exclusively, and I really want to say, I do put it in the comments, thank you for your support. Your support means so much to me. I put a lot of effort into this, and I'm very happy that it's that people acknowledge that through their comments, and that they like the content that I'm trying to put out or put forward to each and every one of you. So that's it for another episode of Sniper Photography. As I always say, be nice to yourself, family and friends, but most of all, you keep shooting, keep smiling. Bye for now.